everybody, how are you all doing today? Welcome back to Mama's Kitchen. Guys, today I just want to start by saying thank you so much for being with me last year. I appreciate all your support and Happy New Year. So today I'm going to show you how I make my jollof rice. As usual, I have this already in my collection, but I'm making a new one because I added some more ingredients into my jollof rice recipe. And I'm going to make this a very long video. I'm sorry about that. You know, I realize that I have some young ones watching me who want to really learn how to cook. So once in a while, I'm going to be making lengthy videos because I want to explain every step of what I do. So having said all this, if you're ready, please come into this kitchen and let's make it happen. Come on, guys, let's go. So this is me frying the meat for this jollof rice. Guys, you already know how I season my meat. I always season my meat with pepper, garlic, ginger, thyme, salt, KNORR cubes, and onions. I blend all those and I pour it inside the fresh meat and I boil it for a few minutes or until it is soft. And then I'm frying it here. I like to fry my meat with a onion inside the oil. You can see the whole onion inside the oil. This gives the meat very good flavor. Once the meat is fried, I put it aside and I'm going to start making the jollof rice proper. Let's go. So the first thing I do to start cooking my jollof rice is to put some chopped onions. I like to use a lot of onions, so I chop a lot of onions and I put it in the oil and just let it fry. I like my onions to be really dry, so you're going to see how it's going to go from this color to a very golden color. It's not going to be burnt, but it's going to look really, really golden. So you can see the color of the onions. When I'm making jollof rice, I want my onions to be a little bit, a little bit burnt, not too burnt, but something dry. That adds more flavor to jollof rice, if you ask me. So I'm going to let it fry a little bit more, and then I'm going to start making the sauce. You can also notice that I'm using this very hard pot. Yes, this is the best type of pot to use for jollof rice. When you cook with this type of pot, of course, you get the bottom burnt, and the burnt part of the burnt of the pot, or the burning, or the, how would I put it? That burning part is what really makes jollof rice, because when that pot gets burnt and you turn the rice, you mix up the rice, that part of the burnt the flavor gets into the rice, and it gives it that unique, party-like jollof rice. So I'm going to wait a little bit more, and I'm going to start adding my tomato sauce. So here, you see what I mean? It's all kind of brown, but not too brown. This is what I like. This is how it is now. And now I'm going to start adding my tomato sauce. This is tapache, bell pepper. That is tapache, habanero pepper, onions. I added a little bit of ginger, not too much. I added garlic, a little bit, and that's just it. I don't like adding tin tomatoes to my jollof rice, so I'm going to add a lot of this pepper. I'm going to use a whole lot of this pepper. Don't worry about the color of these onions, guys. If you try this, you will understand why I let my onions fry this far. It's not burnt, but it's really, really dry and, brownish. And you'll see why I do this. If you try it, you'll understand why I do this. This actually gives flavor to the rice, to the jollof rice. It gives it that, that good flavor. So I'm going to add more peppers. Because I am not using tin tomatoes, like I told you. And then it all depends on the quantity of rice you're going to be making. I'm going to be making at least about the regular 15 cups of rice. So it's going to be a lot. This is New Year's rice. So I'm going to be needing a lot more of these tomatoes, to get it very thickened and to give it that color, the red color that is unique with jollof rice. You can use tin tomatoes if you want to, but I always advise that you fry it, or I mean you boil it with the tomatoes, with the fresh tomatoes. But I did not boil my tin tomatoes with these tomatoes. I just, you know, I mean I did not even add tin tomatoes, I'm sorry. It's just bell pepper, habanero pepper, onions, a little bit of garlic, some ginger, and that's it. And after blending, I boiled it down to this thick paste. You know, it's really, really thick here. You can see it, it's so thick. So I boiled it down for some, up to close to about 45 minutes. I got it really, you know, boiled down, and that took away all the water from the coconut rice, from the, why am I saying coconut rice? From the jollof rice. And as you can see, there is a lot of oil here. This is just to fry my pepper. I have this amount of oil because I want the pepper to really fry. So when I finish frying the pepper, I'm going to take out some of the oil. But for the pepper to really fry dry and nice for jollof rice, I have to, you know, put a lot of oil in it to give me that frying technique. I mean, to give me that dry paste. So that's why you have this oil here. And sometimes when I'm making jollof rice, some people use butter as their base, but I don't use butter as my base oil. I add butter at the end of my cooking. You'll see me do that. So I'm going to just let this fry. To avoid splashes, what I do is I cover the pot. You know, I cover it. I'm going to rinse this pot, rinse the cover, and I cover the pot because you don't want a lot of splashes around. So, and then when I cover it, I also realize that it helps it to fry faster and better. So I'm going to keep this lid over the pot. If you like, I leave it slightly open, but you know, to avoid any splashes, make sure the opening is not too much. So this is after about few minutes, about 5 minutes to be precise, and you can see that the oil is really stepping up. You know, when you're cooking and you start seeing your oil on top of your sauce, it means the thing is frying. So I'm just going to give it a little turn. Don't turn it too much, or you make the base to be sour. So just try as much as you can. At this point, I'm actually going to turn the stove off because I don't want the splashing. You turn off your stove when you're going to, you know, check it so that you don't get a lot of splashing. So the stove is turned off, and I'm going to add my seasoning. In here, I have my Maggi cubes and some onion powder. The whitish thing is onion powder, and I always put it at this time. So I'm going to add it inside. I'm not going to add a lot of salt. I'm not adding salt at all at this time because I have remember, I'm going to be using the meat stock, and the meat stock has salt and everything in it. So what I add at this stage is just the Maggi cube or KNORR cube or whatever you want to use. You add it at this time, you know, after the tomatoes must have fried a little bit. And as you can see those onions that look very burnt are not actually burnt, you know. They look nice here. So you mix everything in, you know, gently, because you don't want the splashes to go all over the place. And try as much as you can to turn off your stove when you're doing this. You know, turn it off because you don't want the whole place to be filled with the splashes. So after mixing it up, I'm going to taste for salt, or taste and see. Yeah, I'm not going to add anything again at this point. So I'll just leave it to fry a little more. So I'm going to keep it covered, and then I'm going to turn the stove back on, and then allow this fry for a bit. Remember, I want the sauce to be really, really fried, because besides using the sauce for the jollof rice, I'm also going to use the sauce to mix up the fried meat. You know, you want that juice in the fried meat. So I'm going to let this fry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to pour in my fried meat, you know, mix it inside, then take it back out. You want that juice in the meat. So let's see what happens. As you can see, this stew is more than ready. So it has been seasoned, it's dried. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add my fried meat into the stew. Remember, the meat is fried and all dried up. You can see it here. So I'm going to add it into the stew just for the meat to get some stew into it. And then I'm going to take it back out. So add the meat. Not all of them. You know, some of them I fry and keep, but this, the one I'm putting here is the one that I'm going to use when I'm serving the rice. So add all the meat in here. And I'm just gonna mix it all up. And that way I get the meat softened a bit, because I fried this meat really, really dry. Guys, if you're doing this, you fry the meat really, really dry, and then you pour it back into the stew, it's going to get softened. You know, it's going to get softened. Just don't worry about it. It's going to get softened. So, and it comes out really nice. Really nice, I guarantee you. So I'm going to add everything, and I'm going to mix it all up. At this point, I'm going to start using my stick instead of the spoon. You see, it's splashing again, so I'm turning off the stove again. Each time you open it, just, you know, just turn off the stove. You don't want that oil everywhere in the kitchen. So I'm gonna leave it in the stew for about just 3 to 4 minutes. So by the time I bring it out, it's really soaked some of the sauce, and it's gonna taste better. So it's about 3 minutes later, and I'm going to, you know, bring this meat out from the sauce. Remember, I just put it in there just for it to soak up some of the juice of the sauce and to add more taste to the meat. So here I'm going to take them out gently and place them in a different container, you know, somewhere nice, and I'm going to, you know, serve them for the rice. Serve them with the rice, you know. That is why when you're going to make this, make sure you have enough tomato sauce, you know. Plan ahead for more tomato sauce to be able to have the luxury of getting some of this sauce on the meat. If you don't have a lot of sauce, this may probably soak up some of your sauce. So make sure you have enough tomatoes. And I'm being very careful here. I don't want to, you know, pack all the sauce, but then I can get at least as much as I want for this meat to stay moist, because I have planned already. I planned ahead and, you know, used a lot of tomatoes and pepper to get sauce. So just bring everything out. Guys, jollof rice is simple to cook if only you can follow the simple steps. You know, sometimes I eat or I taste some people's jollof rice and it tastes tasteless because they don't take time to season everything. When I say season, I don't mean over season. I mean seasoning it to a perfect taste. Try and do that, and you will thank me for it. You know, season. Not, I don't mean pouring a lot of MAGGI, salt, and things like that. Everything should be you know, in a very proportioned quantity. The Americans will say eyeball it. You know, you eyeball every ingredient, every seasoning. Make sure you don't put too much. Not too much salt, not too much pepper, not too much ginger or garlic or whatever you're going to use. You know, just use it according to the size of the rice that you're making. So I'm taking all this meat out, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So I'm going to pause this video so I can take out the meat. So guys, I've taken out all the meat from the sauce, and I'm going to add this. This is spring onions. I just cut it, and I cut it last night anyway, and I put it in the fridge. So this is spring onions. I'm going to use all this, but I'm going to first put this little in this pot here, and you know, just let it cook. I'm not going to mix it too much. Just pat it and let it cook. Guys, try this pattern with me. Try with the spring onions. You will love it. You will love it. So I put my spring onions here now, and I'm going to cover the pot, and then I'll turn the stove back on. So I'll cover this pot, and the stove is going to be back on. And I'm gonna let this just cook together for another 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add my meat stock and then put my washed rice and mix everything up, and then the jollof rice will be on its way. Okay, so let's just see how this goes. So now this is about after 4 minutes, and I think it's ready for me to, you know, go ahead with my jollof rice. So remember, the last thing I added was my spring onions, and now I'm going to add my meat stock, and then I will add my rice, and the jollof rice will be on its way to be cooked. So let me get this thing here. I'm going to use my spatula to, my wooden stick, I mean. That's what I'm going to use from now on to get everything incorporated. So I'm going to check, see. You see that burnt? I'm telling you, it's coming. That burnt is forming. You can see it. You can see the pot is getting burnt. But try as much as possible to get it out once in a while. You know, just mix like this. Especially after you fried it to this stage. You know, you'll mix out. Mix it out this way. And you remember I told you I was going to take some oil off. This is when I will do it, because this meat stock already has some type of oil in it because of the maybe the fat in the meat. So I'm going to try and get out some oil from this sauce. I don't want the oil. I don't want too much of the oil, because I'm going to add my butter at the end. So just take out as much as you can at this point. And if you ever need it, you can pour it back, but I don't need it. I take it out at this time, and then I'm going to keep cooking, and then I'll add some butter. You know, butter is going to bring its own oil too. Butter is oil. So take out this as much as you can, you know, so you don't have too much oil in the food. If you have the time, you can, I mean, if you want to, you can also keep this oil in the fridge or freezer, I mean fridge, and then you can reuse it again for another jollof rice. You know, it will give it a very good seasoned taste to any jollof rice you cook. You can use this oil to start as your base for frying your onions if you want to. That's if you can save it. But if not, you can just throw it away. So I'm getting all the oil I can get. Guys, jollof rice, like I said, needs to be done in a very, you know, it has its own style. It's not something you just pour the rice on the stove, and you know, you have to really know how to go about it. It has its own technique, and when you have a very good technique, your rice will always stand out. People will always want your food. It's not just going to be just normal jollof rice. It's going to be jollof rice with a twist, because you have put in so much skill, you know, so much planning to it. So I bet you this rice is going to be delicious. I have no doubt about that, because it's properly seasoned. Everything is appropriate. There's nothing that is too much. So can you see I've taken out most of the oil? You don't want all the oil. You just take them out. See, I almost have a cup, a cup of oil here. So you don't need all this. You take it out, put it away, and now is the time, excuse me, that I'm going to add the meat stock. Trying to mix up the meat stock. You don't want to just pour it in there. You want to mix it up to make sure that everything, see, there's my meat stock. So I'm trying to just mix everything up. Make sure you mix it up so that you can get all the flavors together. This is a lot of meat stock. This is not only from that meat that I cooked. This is also from the ones I had previously cooked. So I added everything together. So I'm going to introduce my meat stock into this food now. Don't add too much. Just add as much as you think you need. Like for the size of rice I'm going to make, I mean for the quantity of rice I'm going to be making, I don't need too much meat stock. So you mix everything up. Remember, the stove is turned off. That's why you're not hearing anything. I turned off the stove because of this. I don't want splashes. You mix everything thoroughly, you know, all the burnt parts, you bring it up. You mix it up, mix it very well. And here again, you're going to taste for, this is nice. The taste is perfect. I don't need anything else. And then what I do now is add my rice. The rice has been washed, so I'm just going to add my rice to it. Add the rice, and now we're going to mix. So you see, I made this jollof rice with no tinned tomatoes. If you want, you can use tinned tomatoes, but I like to just use my fresh tomatoes, you know, fry it very well to make it look thick like tinned tomatoes. I don't like tinned tomatoes because it gives this aftertaste, you know, this sour taste. Except if you get a good paste like Derica. Derica is good, but I don't like to use it most of the time. So now, guys, everything is mixed up. You can see that the rice is mixed up. This rice is going to be very, very tasty. Very tasty because everything is complete, you know. So you mix it up thoroughly this way, and at this point, you put the heat back on, but you don't put it too high, you know. Let it be in the medium, yeah, just the medium burner. Don't let it get too high, or else the rice will start burning so much, because you remember you've mixed all the ingredients. So if the heat is too much, it's going to burn the rice so bad, and you don't want that. So you turn the heat to very low. My heat is going to be at medium. You turn your heat low, and you're going to start cooking. So what I do after turning my heat low is wrap the pot with some foil paper, you know, just like this. Get some foil paper. I'm going to wrap the pot up. I have the small foil paper, so I'm going to double it. You know, you overlap it. Make sure you overlap it. Don't let any part go into the steam. And I do this because I just want the rice to steam at this point. I don't want it, you know, just boiling. Then you cover it up. And now you can fix your foil paper very well around the pot or the cover. And like I said, the heat is already turned down. Just give this rice time to cook slowly. You don't want it to burn. So I'm going to let it cook. This is going to take some time, possibly up to 15-20 minutes or even more, but I'm not in a hurry. So just cover it this way and let it steam cook. Okay? So I'll see you after a few minutes. So guys, this has been cooking for about 20 minutes now, and I'm about to, you know, add something else to it. You know, jollof rice, most of the times people cook it with a bay leaf or without bay leaves. I like to add bay leaves, not all the time. It depends on the mood I'm in. Today I'm going to use bay leaves, so I'm going to add them at this time. Please always make sure that you don't add too much of it. Do not add too much of it. When you add too much of it, the rice, the taste is going to be overtaken by bay leaf. Just you'll be tasting only bay leaves. So just add not too much. This is how I do mine. You know, I just add it in at this point. You know, remember you're going to take them out after, but you just need the flavor. So I've already washed them and I'm putting them in. You know, not too much. I don't want too much bay leaf. And the next thing I do is try to, you know, pat the pot and, you know, mix up whatever I can mix up. I don't want to mix it all the way, so I'm just going to do a little bit of mixing, you know, just like that. You know, the rice has already been mixed, so you don't need and the way I'm saying it, I'm gonna be needing more water. So after parting, mixing in your leaves. The best way to take out your bay leaves, I mean to know, I mean the best thing to do for you to be able to take out all the bay leaves is to count the number of bay leaves that you've used, you know, that you're putting in. So at the end of the day, you are sure that you've taken out all the bay leaves, you know. So I'm going to add more water. Remember, this rice is not going to be soggy. I don't want it soggy. So we're going to add more of the meat stock. You can't be using water, just use your meat stock. There's some pieces of meat in there. I'm not going to take them out. So just add a little bit of your meat stock. Remember, we are steam cooking this rice. I don't want it burnt and I don't want it overcooked. So add more water. This should be enough for it. And I'm just going to allow this rice to cook. You see, the rice has enough sauce on it. You know, that's the type of jollof rice I want. I want it to be really, really, you know, sauced up, not jollof rice with scanty tomato sauce on it. I just want the tomato sauce to be all over it, you know. So when it cooks, it's going to have that nice red color. So with the quantity of water that I've added now, that should be able to cook the rice. I'm going to turn when it's fully cooked, but right now I'm not turning all the way. You can see that the rice is really, really coming up well, and the heat is low. That's why you're seeing it sizzling a little bit, you know, without much sizzling. It's because it's slowly cooking. Slowly cooking. I'm going to cover it back up and keep cooking it. So let's go. So this has been on for a while. It's about 10 minutes. And I'm gonna see if the rice is if the meat stock has dried up from the rice, and this is when I'm going to add. Yeah, it's almost dried up. It's not much water, not much meat stock left. So I'm going to add. This is when I'm going to add my spring onions, the remaining spring onions. I add it at this time. My last jollof rice, you know, sometimes I add onions at this time, but today I'm adding spring onions. You know, add your spring onions at this time. This is the one remaining from the first batch. I add my spring onions, and I'm going to add my butter, my stick of butter. I'm not going to be adding too much butter, so I'm just going to do one. So, and I'm using salted butter. Okay, this is just one stick of butter. If you like, you can slice it in. If you like, you can just put it in the middle like this and just let it melt in. I'm going to give this another 5 minutes. Let me see if this rice is cooked. Yeah, it's soft enough. So I'm just going to let this butter melt in for just 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's it. So I'm going to cover it back up. And I'm going to... The butter gives it more flavor to me, for me. And that's why my jollof rice is always different from other people's jollof rice. So I like to add butter at this stage with my spring onions, and that's it. Give it 5 minutes and this food will be ready, okay? So we're gonna wait for it to melt. 5 minutes, I said just 5 minutes. So guys, this is after about 5 minutes. You know, I told you it's nothing more than 5 minutes. And here I open this, and now I'm going to mix this jollof rice in. Everything is cooked. Let me grab on this. So I'm going to mix this jollof rice in. And here it is. See the butter? I do this butter thing because it gives it added flavor. Guys, you cannot ask for more. This is my jollof rice. This is my New Year jollof rice. Came out nice. And I'm going to try and mix in all the burnt parts. Because like I said, that's what makes jollof rice jollof rice. And when you cook your jollof rice with butter, don't keep it unrefrigerated because it's going to become very bad quick. So when you make jollof rice with butter, make sure you finish it on time. You know, don't just leave it on the counter or on the stove. Put it in the fridge immediately. And you know, that way you keep the flavor. If you keep it out of the fridge, it may become very bad quickly. So when you have jollof rice made with butter, or even fried rice made with butter, try as much as possible to, you know, take it, put it in the fridge. So I'm going to be removing the bay leaves. Like I said in the beginning, when you're using bay leaves, make sure you know the number of bay leaves that you have here, you have in, so that you can be able to remove everything. It's just that you don't want to serve people food with bay leaf inside it, so you try and get all the bay leaf out. You know, get everything out. I'm going to get all this out. I don't want to mix this rice too much. I've mixed it enough, and I'm going to serve it. Woo, guys, you need to come into this kitchen and just have a taste of this rice. I'm going to taste it soon, but I have to take out all these bay leaves. I think that's it, because I didn't really use much. Okay, yeah, I have this one hiding here. So this is how I make my jollof rice. This is special New Year jollof rice. It's came out nice, and let me taste it. This is nice, guys. This is good. This is very good. Very delicious. Very tasty. Everything is... Woo! This is good, guys. This is good. So this is how I make my jollof rice. I'm going to serve this with the meat and some fried plantain. And if I can make salad, I put salad on the side. But if I can't, I'll rest myself. I've done too much today. So thank you guys for watching me. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support over the years, especially in 2021.